Hi, hi, and welcome to DanPlays. This time we have one of the big ones, one of the all-time greats, Chrono Trigger, part of what was really an incredible run for Squaresoft between, I would say, 1991 and 97 or so. So basically the Super Nintendo era and early in their run on the PlayStation 1. Final Fantasy IV kind of beginning that trend, and they just really released banger after banger. Right up until, I would say, Final Fantasy Tactics or so. 7 came out, as I recall, a little bit before Tactics, so yeah, I would put Tactics at the kind of end of that. I haven't played Xenogears, so maybe that one, I think that one was after Final Fantasy Tactics, or maybe around the same time. And I know a lot of people love Xenogears. I do need to get to that sometime, someday maybe. But yeah, just killer stuff. I can't think of another game company that had a run that strong. I mean, the closest I can think of probably would be Konami or maybe Capcom in the NES era. But even those, I mean, Konami, in addition to, Contra, Castlevania, classics like those, they did have Adventures of Bayou Billy, which is not a terrible game, but it's definitely not one of the top Konami releases. They had, like, Laser Invasion, Capcom, again, in addition to the Mega Man games, and DuckTales, and a lot of the really good Disney games. They also had, I guess the NES version of Trojan. They had Tailspin, which was, again, not a bad game, but not up to the par of, DuckTales, Chip and Dale, those classic Capcom releases. But yeah, Square was like Final Fantasy IV, 5, which we didn't get here in the US until a bit later on PlayStation 1. Final Fantasy VI, which is my number one game of all time. Chrono Trigger, Mario RPG, Final Fantasy VII. Even the games they released that they published and didn't develop in-house were fantastic games. Like, for whatever reason, even though it's a Capcom franchise, Square released the first Breath of Fire on Super Nintendo for Capcom. What was the developer's name? Was it Lightweight? I don't think it was Lightweight. But yeah, the first Bushido Blade game, which is one of my favorite fighting games of all time on PlayStation 1. Again, not developed in-house by Square, but released by them. Like, even the worst Square games from that era were still great games. Like, Secret of Evermore. Forgot to mention Secret of Mana in the rundown, but yeah, Secret of Evermore, the not really sequel. It's not really part of the Mana series. It's just kind of built on the same engine, I think, by an American team. Still a good game. Final Fantasy Mystic Quest. Still a good game. And yes, I will die on that hill. Final Fantasy Mystic Quest, that is a good game. If you haven't played it in a while, if you doubt it, go back and check it out. It's a good game. Trust me. Yeah, even Final Fantasy V, it's definitely weaker, I would say, than 4, 6, or 7, but it's still a good game in its own right. Great job system, of course. Everybody loves the job system in 5. But yeah, Chrono Trigger, this is, I would say, one of the top of that list. When I did my top 10 games of all time list a couple of years ago, just for myself, I never published it or did a video on it or anything, but when I did that top 10 a few years ago, Chrono Trigger was kind of in the number 2 spot. Number 1 was Final Fantasy VI, and if I did the list again now, that wouldn't change. And my number 2 and number 3 probably wouldn't change either, other than possibly flip-flopping them depending on my mood. But my number 2 and number 3 games, pretty much tied for those spots, were Chrono Trigger and Sid Meier's Pirates, which we actually featured in the very first Let's Play video I did. So yeah, and again, that's just my personal favorites, the games I've gotten the most enjoyment out of over the years. But yeah, Chrono Trigger, it is one that I've played through pretty much at least every couple of years, and I have since it came out in 1995. This is my original cartridge I'm playing it on. Still have that, of course. I I've never gotten rid of a game other than ones I had duplicates of or whatever. But yeah, yeah, just classic stuff. So let's get into it. We're gonna do a new game, not New Game Plus, even though I have several files here that are pretty much right at the end. One of those will get erased as we save this one. But yeah, let's get into it. I usually go with Wait. And for Chrono, I never change his name. Usually I keep the default character names in most RPGs, with the exceptions of a few like Red 13 and Final Fantasy VII. I usually change his name to Nanaki, which is his real name. We find out a little later. And there's a couple characters in Chrono Trigger where we actually find out their real names as the game goes on. So sometimes I use those right away. Occasionally it makes dialogue a little weird if I do that, but usually it's not a big deal. But yeah, I'm thinking probably I'll keep the defaults for this playthrough. Alright, so Chrono getting woken up by his mom. Top 3 games that start with some guy's mom trying to wake him up. Chrono Trigger, number 1. Number 2 would be Dragon Warrior 3. And number 3, I guess kind of by default, would be Plumbers Don't Wear Ties. Those are the only 3 I can think of, anyway. So as far as how we're playing through this, it'll be in multiple parts, obviously. I'm probably going to do, hour and a half tonight. And whenever I record again, I'll do another hour and a half. I'm not going to be like speed running it, but I will be probably trying to go through the game relatively quickly, so I might skip talking to some NPCs or only talk to them once or whatever. Anyway, we have control of Chrono. We'll check him out as far as his starting equipment and stats go. So we start out with 400 gil, or 400 gold, I guess, in this. I have the wood sword, hide cap, hide tunic, bandana, starts at level 1. I usually try to get Cyclone before moving on, and you only need 5 skill points to get his first single attack, so we'll do that before we move on. And there's our friend Luca. She lives on the 2nd floor. To get as much starting money as possible, you can talk to your mom a 2nd time and get your allowance. Talk to the cat, just for fun. It's possible we'll have a real cat visiting at some point during this record session. Alright, so to get some more starting cash, we'll go to the starter hall, or training hall, whatever they call it, beginner's hall. I'm thinking those are all names from the Final Fantasy games, but that's also not where we are. We have ducked into Luca's house, so there's her mother. And her father will eventually walk in, but we won't stick around for that. You do actually want to go to Luca's house at least every so often during the game, because you get equipment for Luca from her father. So the Mayor's Manor, that's the training hall here. So most of these people we don't need to talk to, but we can pick up a tonic there. We can get some gold here, and then I think it's, yeah, this guy, if you listen to him, he gives you some advice, and then if you talk to him again, you actually get a little more starting cash from him. So we actually have a cool 1,000 to start with now. So let's just head to the fair. Again, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time talking to NPCs and things like that. If you haven't played this game yourself, by the way, for some reason it's not out on Switch. I don't believe in any form, not even digitally. But I think it is on Steam. There's the DS version. Obviously, there's the original Super Nintendo cartridge, which is... I actually don't know what that's going for now. I know it was expensive, but probably still is. But But yeah, any format you can play this in. Original cartridge, the DS version, Steam version. Maybe there's an iOS version too now. If they ever do release it on Switch, or the successor to the Switch at this point, or any other method you choose to play this game, definitely do it. And if you haven't played it before, you may want to skip my video. I know I shouldn't tell you that, but anyway, we're meeting our second character here. Alright, so she dropped her pendant, and there's a reason I'm not talking to her again first. I'm going straight to pick it up. May I have it back? I'll say yes for that. Basically, there's an event later in the game where your actions at this fair scene, basically some of the actions you take specifically will affect the outcome of this scene, and frankly it's a lot better if you get the bad outcome. So yeah, picking up her pendant first is one of those actions that does it. Contributing to the bad ending, or the bad outcome to that event, if you try to say no when she asks for her pendant back, that's another thing that can do it. I just didn't have the heart for that one, but we'll get enough negative interactions at this fair scene, I think, to get the quote-unquote bad outcome. Sometimes I do change her name. I'll spoil it to Nadia, which we later find out is her real name, but I think I'll keep it this time. I will qualify this by saying, in my headcanon, when I first played the game, I just assumed it was pronounced Marley. Maybe it is, for all I know, but the generally accepted pronunciation of her pseudonym here seems to be Marl. But I may well, if I use that name again, I may well slip and still call her Marley, so sorry in advance. So I'll keep that for now. CHRONO never talks, by the way. He's a silent protagonist, which was kind of a Square thing at the time, at least outside of the Final Fantasy games. So let me see how many tech points she needs to get. So she needs 10 to get Aura, and even though she's not going to be with us permanently for a while, I may still try to get her first technique, the Aura, just in advance. One reason I did this game is that it's a fairly well-paced, breezy game. There's generally not a lot of grinding involved. The one exception, I think, is one character does have a charm technique that they get, and sometimes I don't have it by the point where I kind of want it, so I do have to kind of grind to get that, but that's about it for grinding, honestly. This is a pretty well-balanced game. So this is the training robot that Luca built for demonstrating at the fair. So we can get some silver points from this, which you can spend at the fair, and we'll also get some experience and tech points. We should have enough money already to... I should have done it probably already, actually, but we should have enough money to, even before winning this battle, to buy the next best sword for CHRONO, so he's not stuck with that wooden sword. Only one tech point from him. We could also go to the forest and see if some of the enemies there drop some more tech points. Because we're a nice guy first. This little girl lost her cat, which is over here. And this is actually a positive interaction. But we'll return the cat anyway. So you just have to kind of get it to follow you without it getting hung up on the scenery. Now I'm hung up on the cat. There we go. Alright, so usually when you get it around the corner of that thing, she'll take it back. And perfect timing. Hey, come up here. So let's check out the forest. We can go back to CHRONO's house too. In fact, let's do that first, because there's actually, for each character in the game, there's actually a little bit of dialogue when you introduce them to your mom, so we can do that with Marley right now. He looks familiar. Alright, so forest is over here. You can also always get a free shelter. Actually, is that in the present day, or is that when you go back in time? I think that's the present day version. Maybe not. Maybe that's when you go back to the medieval era. Either way, this forest in at least one time period always has a free shelter in it. Let's see how many tech points we get from this. 3, so that's better than fighting Gato, actually. And we got a level up on both characters already. Yeah, it's in the medieval era. That bush would be moving in the medieval era, and if you talk to it, you're a little, I forget what they're called, offhand Poyozo, maybe. But a little guy jumps out and runs away, and he drops a shelter, so you always get a free shelter whenever you go to that forest. So fight these things. So we should be able to get the cyclone technique for CHRONO pretty quickly here, and probably not too long after that if these enemies are dropping at least 3 tech points per battle. We should be able to get Marley's aura also. Yeah, there's the cyclone right there. So we should be up to 6. Yeah, we only need 3 more to get aura on her, which again we don't need yet, really. Fight these mushroom things. Yeah, we don't need the aura necessarily yet on Marley, because she's not going to be in the party very long at this point. But might as well get it anyway. And we should after this battle. Come up here. Hey, come here. Yeah, so we actually got the double tech for the 2 of them too, which is Aura Whirl, which is basically a group heal. That's actually one problem with Marley. She kind of lags. By mid-game, she starts lagging behind the other characters, because even though she's kind of designed as a mage and healer, she never gets a group heal move, which other characters do, and that starts to limit her usefulness. Alright, so I know CHRONO's running low on HP right now, so we'll refill that and get another negative mark against us by stealing this guy's lunch. So yeah, the game kept track of that. So let's go back to Melchior here, the merchant, and we can get a better sword for CHRONO. I mean, if you really grind, you can get the load sword. But I think you get 2 of those later in the game anyway, and it's... I mean, it's a lot stronger, but it's not necessarily something you need yet. So we can equip that. This is another mark. He'll ask if she might be willing to sell her pendant, and if you say you will try to talk her into it, that'll be a negative mark against us too. But yeah, the pendant is an important plot device later in the game. There are various mini-games at the fair, like you can bet on these foot racers. There's the Tent of Horrors, which actually becomes important story-wise later in the game. There's this Test of Strength thing, which we'll see if we can get a... I seem to have lost the timing on that. There we go. So, yeah, nothing too important. There's also like a dance section going on over here. There's a drinking contest. But yeah, let's... talk to this. Basically, once you hear that Luca's demonstration is ready, that's when we can actually move on with the plot. So, they're not ready yet. So we'll just talk to some random people until it's time. There it is. Actually, there's a tonic cellar here. Let's get a couple healing items while we're here. Do 10 of each, I guess. Maybe a couple revives. And one shelter. Again, you can get free shelters later on. So let's just sort our inventory. Alright, so this is kind of the last bit of negative points against you for a future event, which, again, you kind of want to get the bad outcome to that. So basically just keep trying to walk away from her while she's at the candy stall here. And that's the line you want. You want to make sure she says there's no need to drag me by the arm like some kidnapper. And then you can just wait. Okay, so... Oh, thanks for that. What could possibly go wrong? So as far as how many parts we'll be doing this game in, by the way, I don't know exactly, but I can say I usually finish this game somewhere between 15 and 18 hours, so I guess if it's hour-long parts, that's 15, 16, 17 parts maybe. We'll maybe do a little more than an hour each time. I might also, you know, do another game in between plays. I'll try not to abandon it like I did the Bully playthrough, which I still might go back to sometime. But, yeah, I'll try not to abandon this one completely, but there might be occasionally another game interspersed between Chrono Trigger parts, and I definitely don't have a time frame. Like, theoretically, I'd like to do one part a week, but in all likelihood, it'll be semi-weekly. I do have some time off coming up in a little less than a month, so I could probably do a few parts during that time frame. So anyway, Marley disappeared. Marley, whatever you want to say. Again, in my head, I always said Marley when I first played this, and I'd never heard anybody say it out loud before, so I guess I just assumed. But, yeah, Marl seems to be the accepted pronunciation, but whatever. That's right, you have to actually grab the pendant to indicate you're going to follow her, again, since Chrono can't talk. I actually referred to this in the Carmen Sandiego playthrough, didn't I? The time-traveling transition here. The effect. Alright, so since we made it a point to get the cyclone technique, we can try it out once these guys get close enough. And yeah, takes them all out at once. We can get these guys to come together so we can hit them with a cyclone also. There it is. For the unaware, if those character designs on the enemies look familiar, the character design in this was the work of the recently departed Akira Toriyama of Dragon Ball and Dragon Quest fame. If you're, again, unaware, Chrono Trigger was kind of a Dream Team effort. This was, of course, before the Square Enix merger. They were still competing companies at the time, but Chrono Trigger was basically an effort between sort of key members of the Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest teams from both companies. So it was led by Hironobu Sakaguchi, the creator of Final Fantasy, Yuji Horii, the creator of Dragon Quest, and Toriyama, the artist of Dragon Quest, and again, Dragon Ball, and all of that. Music was mostly by Yasunori Mitsuda, Mitsuda actually kind of worked himself into pretty much literally worked himself into the hospital, working so hard on the soundtrack for this that Nobuo Uematsu, the composer for Final Fantasy, kind of took over and kind of finished the last few tracks that Mitsuda hadn't done yet. But mostly it's Mitsuda's tracks in this. So anyway, this looks like a familiar town, but seems just a bit off, doesn't it? We'll go to the inn here. For Tenji, might as well actually rest up and recharge our HP and MP. But we'll also want to talk to one NPC who walks in while we're in here. I guess you can't actually talk to the barman yet. So they found Queen Lean, who apparently was missing, wandering in the mountains. But apparently she's been found safe. So yeah, Toma's kind of a recurring character who does become important at pretty much the endgame phase. For now, every time you see him, you have to buy him a drink just to get a little bit of story out of him. Check out the market. I don't know if we need anything yet. So we actually got the iron blade already. Karate, oh, we only have 130 gil. That's right. Yeah, let's see. I may regret it, but let me sell off one of these revives I bought just to get the 230. And we could get, let's just wait. Because there are, I think, a couple of treasure chests in the castle here that get you some extra gil, so yeah, we'll hang on that for a little bit. So we'll hit these two with the Cyclone and then take out the other one on its own. The early enemies are pretty weak, obviously. Another level up on Chrono. So again, up here, that bush, every time you come into this forest you can do it. If you talk to that moving bush, that guy pops out and drops a shelter. And shelters are like tents in the Final Fantasy games, so not a bad thing to get free ones of. This moving bush is just an enemy encounter if you talk to it. These guys are a little tougher, not one-hit wonders. Critical hit from Chrono. So yeah, between fighting a couple battles in this forest, and again, I think there are a couple of gil pickups in the castle that we're going to. Yeah, that's not the right way. Actually, before we do follower, I kind of forget if there are any chests down here. I don't think there are, actually, but we can talk to the Knight Captain. He's talking about the defense of the bridge. That's actually a scene we get to play out later on. Spoiler. These guys talk a little bit about Sir Cyrus. Yeah, lurked in the Western Forest. This is all kind of foreshadowing information to various future events. So you actually have a free inn here also, which might not be a bad thing to use, actually. Yeah. Might as well recharge. And again, this is free, unlike the inn in town. Which I guess we actually did spend money to stay there too already, but we went through that forest again. I'm pretty sure there are chests down in the kitchen here. And you can also get a free meal here, which also is more or less a free inn. So yeah, there's some ether here. So for some reason, it kind of reminds me of Mr. Burns when he says, the Queen wants ice cream. Okay. Mr. Burns, recycling? The DS version of this, and presumably the versions that are on Steam and iOS and whatever, do have a slightly different translation. It's not as markedly different as like the Game Boy Advance version of Final Fantasy VI and the versions of that game that followed, but there are some minor differences. Final Fantasy VI, there's actually a lot about the original translation I like better, and if I ever do that on this show, I might get more into that. But with Chrono Trigger, it's close enough that I don't think there's really a major difference in the translation. Oh, way ahead of you there, King. Yeah, let's follow him, actually. I think the other way is to the Queen's room, so we'll save that for last, because there are chests on the way up both of these towers here. Yeah, and I'm just thinking, if you leave them, you can actually pick them up again in the present day. So maybe that's a good idea. Well, it doesn't really matter that much, I guess, in the long term for the regular chest. This chest, which we can't open yet anyway, when we are able to open that you definitely want to basically come to the past to recharge the chest, then go to the present to collect it, and then go back to the past to collect it again. Those you do want to collect twice, but yeah, the smaller chest, it's like 100 gil, which is useful now, but won't really matter that much by the time we get back here in the present day, so I don't think it matters too much if we open those. And I think this is actually a set of armor here that we can put on Chrono. Yeah, the bronze mail, so we can go ahead and equip that. I kind of forget, I feel like the karate gi that was for sale in town, I think that might be stronger than the bronze mail. I was thinking it was weaker, but if you just find the bronze mail for free, maybe the karate gi is stronger. But it's stronger than the hide tunic he already had, so either way. No chest there, there's one. Just a tonic again, that doesn't matter really if we collect it once or twice. Alright, so we get to meet the Queen. Actually, grab her chest first. And I did not mean that to come out like I just said it. Wow. We will open this treasure chest. How about that? I really did not intend to say that way. I'll leave it in, though. I don't edit these gameplay videos, so... Don't look tough enough. Oh, I forgot actually had another item from the mountains when we first got to this time period, so we'll equip the Power Glove. I love the Power Glove. It's so bad. But yeah, the power boost on Chrono, I think, is better than the speed boost at this point, so we'll give him the Power Glove. We'll try to at least get through the cathedral and the return to the present day in this installment. I believe that's known as the Kavorka that Chrono has. Uh-oh. You're tearing me apart, Chrono. So this is where Luca joins us for, I was gonna say the first time, but yeah, Luca never actually leaves the party after this point. Other than, well, I guess there is a scene after this where she's not in the party for a little while, where you just have Chrono again, but... So that's one of the bits of dialogue when I, again, I often change her name to Nadia right at the beginning. And, I think the dialogue still kind of works. Nadia is Princess Nadia. You know, she just gave her first name. It may not be the only Nadia in town, so... It still kind of works, I think. But, yeah, I just kept the defaults. I might do that for all the characters this time. I usually do anyway, except for 2 characters in this who do get real names revealed as the plot goes on. Alright, so let's check out Luca's stats. So for her, I think I'm actually going to put Chrono's bandana on her. The sight scope is... That item basically just tells you the enemy's remaining hit points, and frankly that's not that important in this game. I used it a lot when I first played it, but I think for her, because she has half the speed that Chrono does currently, I think the speed boost... It's only a 1-point speed boost, but it's something. And we can get better equipment for her in town also. they don't know she's missing yet, so let's get out of here. So basically we have to investigate the cathedral. We'll fight our way through this forest again. Should check how many... So she needs 10 points to get her flame to us. And Chrono needs 67 points to get his next technique. So we won't grind for his, but we'll want to get Luca's next technique by the time we're out of this forest. Because that will actually get a double tech for both of them also. And it shouldn't take long. We got 6 tech points just from that battle alone. But yeah, Luca's pretty weak at this point, but she does become one of the strongest magic users in the game. Potentially the strongest if you don't get the optional character. There's one optional character in this, and I won't spoil it. I don't know how much I really need to do spoilers for a 29-year-old game, but... yeah, so we got her technique flame to us, and we got the fire whirl, which is basically an elemental version of Chrono's cyclone. We'll get our free tent here. We'll fight a couple extra battles on the way out, too. Here, actually, there's one of these is an item, actually. And it's the other one. But the other one instigates a battle, and we'll fight that anyway, so... Main reason I'm doing these battles, other than what we've already done, getting Luca's first technique, is getting enough money to buy a few extra equipment pieces in town before we go into the cathedral. And there is equipment in the cathedral, too. That's a power tab, which will permanently increase one character's strength or attack power. Basically, it's like the sources in Final Fantasy VII, or really more like the sources in Final Fantasy VII, or more like the tabs in this. But we'll hang on to it for now. Probably we'll use eventually. Can't talk. We will eventually use that on Chrono, but maybe on a different character. So that I'll hang on to for the time being. Ooh. We should be able to hit these guys with a cyclone. There we go. Hey, come up here. Yeah, level up for Luca. Let's just see what that did to her speed. Still the same. Alright. We don't want to use the power tab on Luca because her attacks, she's not really designed as an attacker to begin with. She's really a mage, but her attacks are controlled by the hit stat rather than the power stat. So the power tabs, you can use them on her, but it really won't do anything for her. Anyway, so actually the bronze armor we gave Chrono is stronger than the Karate-gi here, and for Luca, she starts with the Karate-gi, so we can wait on getting the Karate-gi here. We will get the dart gun for Luca. Again, even though she's not designed as an attacker, other than her flame to us, she doesn't really have a whole lot else to do at this point in the game. So I would like to get 2 bronze helms also, but get a little more money for that, so we'll just get the dart gun for now. Let's go do a couple more battles in this forest, actually. Get the extra shelter again, too. Cyclone on them. Critical hit from Luca. Nice. I forget what those helmets are going for already. 200 maybe? So just going through this. Maybe we'll duck out at the castle end and then go back through one more time. Just to get as much extra money as we can. before going to the cathedral. Again, this isn't really a grindy game. We don't really need to do that, but it'll just make things that much easier once we do get to the cathedral. Another level up for Chrono. Grab the shelter. There's battle down here. So yeah, he is taking these guys out in one hit now. Well, Luca got another critical on that one. So she one hit it too. So these guys again with their tight formation. We should be able to get them with a cyclone. Yeah, that one's just out of reach. We'll just cyclone these two. Another critical. Luca's actually kicking some ass here. Alright, so we'll duck out the castle end. We might as well, because Chrono is running low on MP, we might as well go into the castle and stay at the free inn here. Since it is free, there's really no reason not to do this, so just gonna recharge. Alright, so one more time through the forest, and we should have enough money at that point to get everything we want from the shop. There, we got them all together for the cyclone. And another critical, jeez. And a level up for Luca. Just check her speed again. Still 7. Alright. That's the animation for Chrono's criticals. We got a heal item there too. I think we got a couple of those already. Yeah, we bought 10 and we have 13 now. So alright, so we'll grab... Might as well grab 3 bronze helms. I think we do find one in the cathedral anyway, but might as well. And there's actually a better armor for Marley, and she's not going to be in our party before we have a chance to pick it up, so I won't bother buying another karate key. I'll just get an even 20 tonics here. Yeah, that should be good. We have 5 shelters, that should be enough for where we're going. Only 1 revive, but we're pretty good on our health and everything. Stay at the inn anyway. It's cheap enough this inn, so... Alright, so we'll hit the cathedral here. I should probably drop a save before we do that, actually, just because I haven't saved the game at all yet. So I'll keep that file, that's the furthest. This one, hopefully, if you haven't played the game before, hopefully you didn't see the character lineup, because that one did have a spoiler on it. But now it's gone, so this game is saved in that spot, number 3. I think this is a game I did last time I played through it, so about 2 years ago now. I think. I don't think I have any, like, really old save files on this cartridge. This game, this cartridge still does have its original battery, by the way. Which shouldn't cause an issue. It's been fine. But, now that I bring it up, I hope I didn't jinx it and the cartridge's battery will die halfway through our video series here. So these nuns all seem kinda sinister. Ooh, a mysterious sparkle appeared. A hairpin with the royal crest. That seems like something that shouldn't be here. Uh-oh. Alright, so see if we can get some of these to come together. Yeah, we can get a fireroll on 3 of them. So yeah, this is the first attack double tack we have. And it's the first double tack we're actually using. Yeah, that took out all 3 of them in one go. So now we just have this one to deal with. CHRONO got slowed, but he also got a critical hit on the attack he'd already been assigned. The slow doesn't stack, fortunately, so he didn't get slower again. Jump scare. Frog? Frog? No, frog's wrong. I say we go with the frog. So, Frog, I also often change his name to the real name that we later learn for him, but for now. You can also rename your characters. Probably a little more than halfway through the game, a new shows up in a certain location that you can talk to change characters' names, so we can always do that later if we want to. So let's search the environs. Basically, you just have to play the organ to open the hidden door. Alright, so first battle with Frog. Frog is primarily an attacker. He does get some decent magic spells, but unless you give him a lot of magic tabs, his magic skill is not especially high to go with it. But yeah, he's pretty strong, and he has a very high, compared to other characters, he tends to have a higher critical hit rate, especially with certain weapons. So he is a good character. For gameplay purposes, my favorite character we haven't met yet. For story purposes, I don't really have a favorite. They're all good in this. But for gameplay purposes, I do have a favorite character in this for gameplay, and again, we haven't met him yet. So there's a revive. And we got attacked before we could get that other chest. These Diablos enemies are pretty weak, at least. I probably actually should have had I wasn't thinking, I should have had Frog attack the other Diablos and had Luca do the last attack on that first one. Chrono hit. What's the status of Frog's techniques anyway? So he actually starts with his first one, and his second one he only needs 10 more to get, as does Luca, and Chrono, actually, so we should get our second techniques on all characters pretty soon. Alright, so those guys for now. There's a couple of side rooms here. Hit the 2 snakes with a cyclone and then have Frog attack the Diablos. There's a critical hit from Frog. Critical hit from Luca again. And another level up for her too. Still stuck with the 7 speed. So the guys on their lunch break aren't gonna attack us. Capture the Chancellor, what? I think I actually missed the hint about Magus, the Magus statue here, but we'll find that anyway. So, get these, and then there's a hidden room here. There it is. So this is the Magus statue the guy was about to talk about before I accidentally left the room. But that was just a hint to come down here. The speed belt, that's a good item. We'll put it on Luca for now, but there's actually another character that it's even better on when we get to him, so that'll just boost her speed 1 more point. Oh, I actually forgot this. I was thinking this set of enemies didn't attack either. I guess they do if you walk into them wrong or stay too long. Oh well. We'll do a cyclone on those 3 and then we'll use the slurp on oh, that's a healing move. Never mind. We'll just have him do a regular attack on that one, and then we'll hit a flame to us on the other one. Ooh, that did a lot of damage. Alright, so this should be it. Or not. There we go. Yeah, the next battle, we should get new techniques on everybody. Yeah, this didn't seem like a trap either, this room. It's just the snakes. Snakes, I don't know, no snakes. Do a cyclone there. In a position where we can hit more than one with the flame to us. So. Can we... I don't know if I really wanted to use the MP on another cyclone, but we can hit all 3, so that should end it. a bunch of techniques. A double attack on Chrono and Frog, and a new single attack on each character. So I think there's a side room on the other side here too. We'll just attempt to avoid those guys, but not succeed in it. So yeah, in that position we can actually hit both with Lucas Flame to us. So that should take these two out. There's several things in here. Tonic Ether, the Maiden Suit. We do get two of those. That's the armor I was thinking of for Marley, but I think we do get another one, and it's good for Luca, so do that. And my bronze mail on the other two characters, and there's a hidden item here that doesn't show up in the inventory, but we do get something for it later. Let's see if we can get a fire whirl on all three of them. Not quite. Right, moving around a little. Still no. Come on, come together. Right now. Over here. Screw it. Actually, let's try out the slash move for Chrono, and then we could do a flame to us from Luca, and that'll actually hit all three of them. Although it won't need to. So we are running low on MP on Chrono, so let's see if we can get to a save point before we need to use Cyclone again. Or Slash. So that was actually a sword for Chrono. So our iron sword from the fair is already outdated. That's a hint of the statue room that we already saw. And then there's a power tab here. Stop, intruders, Gak. See if we can get a flame toss on both of these. Yeah, there we go. Didn't take him out though. There we go. Oof. Alright, we're almost out of MP, but I think we're close to a save point too, so we can use the shelter, I think, momentarily. See how that fire whirl should take everybody out. There we go. And I think we're actually not getting tech points anymore, because I think for all three of these characters, the next technique we can learn is classed as a magic attack, and we don't actually know how to use magic yet, so yeah, we're not going to get tech points for a little while. But we can use a shelter here, and it's pretty well needed. We took a beating on the way to this save point. Chrono's out of MP also, so that restores everything. We'll drop a save too. And I think there's a chest on each side here, and then whichever side steps we go down, I guess there's not a chest on that side, but whichever set of steps we go down turns into a slide, so we can't go back up that way. That was easy. So we want to hit that skull switch on the wall. That glowing skull thing is a switch. These bats are one-hit wonders too. Oh, that just makes more bats show up. I guess maybe it's on the other side is the switch we need to hit. Let's see if we can get the 3 henches with the fire whirl here, and then Frog should be able to just take out the bat on his own. On each side, so the Cyclone and Fire Whirl are not as useful here. I'm gonna actually have Luca attack one of the bats, see if she can take it out, so we don't have to deal with it as we're trying to take down the henches. And she misses. Thanks for that. The bats in this are really just kind of nuisances. The henches are the stronger enemies. Slightly more of a threat. Let's see if Luca can get that last hit on him this time. Alright, that worked. Frog missed. Alright, there's the switch we wanted. We could actually avoid those guys entirely. These guys we can't avoid. So, once again, we'll just see if we can get all 3 henches on a fire whirl, and it's not letting us. We might be able to get 2 of them. Oh, there's all 3. I was gonna say we might be able to get 2 henches and the 1 gargoyle at least, but yeah, there we go. Grab that. That's actually for Frog. So better sword for him. And the organ once again opens the door we want to go to. And we'll just go back to pop a shelter at the save point here. back the way we came to the back of this area, and now the door will appear since we played the organ. So there we go. Seems like that note should have been there before we went through all of that. So actually another save point here. Ooh. I'm gonna try not to use any special techniques here, just to conserve MP on, especially Frog and Chrono for the boss fight. So the first boss is coming up, incidentally. Might use a tonic on a Chrono before the fight, too. Alright. Yeah, just to top off his health. Luca took a hit somewhere, but not enough to really matter. Oh, snap. Alright, first boss fight, and we're gonna use our X strike technique with Chrono and Frog. Luca's gonna mainly kind of default into a healer role, even though she doesn't and never does have any healing moves. She can use potions, and that's kind of gonna be her main role in this fight. Just using potions whenever we need them. And then Chrono and Frog can use the X strike move. Any wrestling fans, if you remember, in New Japan, when, or in DDT, when, Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi were the Golden Lovers, they did the X Strike as a move in wrestling. This is, I'm sure, where they got it from. I know Omega's a huge gamer. He dressed as Sephiroth for, Wrestle Kingdom a couple years ago, so I'm sure he played this, too. Turn, we're gonna have Luca use a potion on herself. Ooh, especially after this. Actually, Chrono might get the first potion. Just keep spamming the X strike with the Frog and Chrono. There we go. So not a particularly hard boss fight. It is harder than a lot of the Final Fantasy first bosses, and a lot of those, of course, I think from Final Fantasy 4 through 7 at least, all of them had the same gimmick with the first boss fight, where it's an enemy that has a state where you can't attack it without a strong counterattack. The Mist Dragon in 4, I forget what it was called, but the bird thing, and Final Fantasy 5. The Welk in Final Fantasy VI and the Guard Scorpion in Final Fantasy VII all had that same gimmick. Not the case here, so it is a stronger first boss than in the Final Fantasy games, but Yakra still not terribly difficult. You can pretty much just spam that X-Strike move on him. So we'll open these two chests, or mid-either. And the other one has the real Chancellor in it, so we saved him. I actually don't know what happens if you try to leave without opening the chest he's in. I don't know if I've ever tried that. If anybody knows, feel free to comment. So we automatically go back to the castle. We must create a criminal justice system in this kingdom to do away with such fiends. Frog, don't beat yourself up over that. You got her back. Let's go. So looking at the clock, both my recording time and actually even more significantly the real clock right now, I think once we get back to the present day, I'm gonna go ahead and save and quit and end the video for this time. So next time we'll pick up with, well, I won't sign off yet. Somewhere cold, dark, and lonely. Yep, we found you out. I do apologize, by the way, if I go through the dialogue too fast. As many times as I've played this, I know the dialogue, so I can just kind of glance at it. Plus, again, for this playthrough, I'm trying to go through the game relatively as quickly as possible, so... Again, I do apologize if I go too fast. Feel free to, you know, pause on any of the dialogue you want to read if I do go too fast or anything. Hey, I'm a nice guy. Alright, so as far as Marley goes, I don't think we do have the Karate Gi, actually, so we can slap that on her for now, and we do have the extra bronze helm. I forgot to put the bronze helm on Chrono and Luca, didn't I? Well, they have them now. That's embarrassing. And the ribbon... I think the ribbon in this, it's not like the ribbon in Final Fantasy, unfortunately, where in Final Fantasy, classically, going back to Final Fantasy 1, the ribbon prevents all status effects. In this, I believe it just affects the, yeah, it just adds 2 to her hit stat, which for Marley and Luca is their hit is actually what determines their damage, so their power stat is pretty much useless. Their damage with their physical attacks is all calculated based on their hit stat. But, for now, how's her stamina compared to the other characters? She does have the lowest. So I think for now, I'm actually going to put the defender on her. We'll put something else on her, probably, as soon as possible. But for now, we'll give her that defender as the accessory. Alright, so we can check in with Frog on the way out. Actually, we can check in with the Queen now that we have Marley back, as she meets her ancestor here. Don't worry, we haven't seen the last of them. Alright, so... might as well hit that free in here. Yeah. And I'll try to avoid enemy encounters here, unsuccessfully, obviously. Alright. That should take them out. Get our free shelter here. Like, if you really wanted to, you could just keep going in and coming out of that forest and getting that free shelter every time to stockpile them. So, yeah, we don't really need anything else here for the moment. I think we can buy a second maiden suit when we get back to the present day. Just avoid them. I don't think we can avoid this fight. Oh, that's embarrassing. Either and a tonic. That's pretty nice. Alright. And nothing will ever happen to that gate key as the story goes on. Well, I guess it's just Marley and me to go back. If you see what I did there. Alright, so... I don't think Malkier has anything different. Yeah, still just the same things. I could actually buy that load sword now. I do have enough. But we do get at least one, and I think two of those for free anyway, so there's no real point in spending the money on it. Alright, so let's stop at the store here. I prefer to think of her as Elaine. Alright, so Steel Saber, Iron Bow. That's actually an improvement for Marley also. We have that, we have that. And then we actually can get one of those for her also. 3 of those. So, yeah, we'll remember to equip these two. So that Karate Gi went obsolete pretty quick. You could stop in at Chrono's house to get a free heal by staying in Chrono's bedroom. Yeah, just the 2 of us. Chrono's gonna put the moves on Marley. Oh, I'm sure nothing untoward went on. His mom is right downstairs after all. And we actually already got the little scene for her being introduced to the mother. And we didn't have a chance to get the one for Luca yet, so... Anyway, can we go over the bridge yet here? We can, although, actually, never mind, that's in the medieval era, where we can trade in that hidden item, the Naga Bromide. The photo from the cathedral. There's a place you can turn it in, and you get, I think, a magic tab, or one of the tabs anyway. But, yeah, that's in the medieval era, and the entire town that happens in is not in the present day. And I don't think it's ever explained why. So we actually avoided all the enemies there. So I think this is a good place. I'm at 1:32 on my record time. So I think that's a good place to stop for now. So yeah, pretty good start. We got through the first dungeon, did the first boss, gained a bunch of levels. Let's just see her next technique. So we have a little ways to go to get to that. But yeah, pretty good start. Anyway, so we'll pick up sometime soon. Hopefully next Monday or Tuesday, maybe. I'll get a chance to record the next section of the game. So yeah, that's Chrono Trigger, the beginning of it, anyway. So, for now, that's it for DanPlays, and we will see you again real soon. Have a good night.